Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the podcast. And this is episode 2 of Navigating Grief. And the feedback from the last one was just incredible. It was really, really lovely to hear of all your different stories and your journey with grief, and how the podcast has helped you. And it's just 11:11 right now, so let's all take a moment to make a wish, or even just see yourself walking through a gateway, a portal, from one timeline to another. Yeah, such a special number. I absolutely love it. And it's great confirmation for me as well. Because grief is something that I have like kept hidden, or, didn't want to be part of my story. And it's a massive part of my story. And it's a massive part of who I am today and why I do the work that I do. So for this follow-on series, episode 2 of Navigating Grief, I wanted to share a positive spin on grief and how you can use it as a driving force, and not to look at any emotions as positive or negative. Just look at them as emotions, energy in motion. And we get to decide how we utilize that energy. And that's how we can alchemize our emotions through transmutation. Because remember, grief changes you. You are not the same person you are after you've experienced grief. So when, say, you had a breakup when you were younger or at any point in your life, you've probably said to yourself, okay, I'm going to be different. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to change my hair color. I'm going to move country. I'm going to do better. So experiencing grief can make you wake up or make you say, okay, I haven't been living my best life, or I haven't been feeling my best lately. So I am going to change. And this is what happened to me. After my brother passed away, I was working in a job that I actually liked, but I just didn't like the lifestyle, like being away from home all the time. And I was like, okay, I want to be closer to home. So I let go of that job and went into another job. Believe it or not, it was in car sales. And it was actually something that I always wanted to do. When I was smaller, we used to drive past the road where all the car garages were, and I always used to say, "Oh my God, I'd love to work there." I don't know why. I don't know anything about cars really, but yeah, decided to work there because it was really close to home, and it's something that I always wanted to do. Anyway, it was a really, really, really toxic environment, and I was like, do you know what? Life is just too short to subject myself to this. Even though I did really well there and I really enjoyed um, working with customers and all of that side of things, that wasn't the issue. It was just the environment, and it was a very masculine dominant environment. So yeah, you're just basically fighting for your life every day. So I was like, look, there has to be more to life than this. So yeah, that kind of pushed me over the edge, because I was like, I have no freedom here. I'm like begging for holidays. I have no time off. Like I'm working 6 days a week. I'm working 12-hour shifts. I was like, if I can do this for somebody else, and if I want to start my own business, surely I can make it if I put in this amount of work or effort, and get and praise myself. And whatever I do for my business and for me, even if it means sleepless nights and long hours and all the rest. I'm committed. I'm willing to do that. So I quit my job, and I went to India within the month to train to become a yoga teacher trainer. And yoga had been such a savior in my life during the early stages of grief, and even before that, when I had broke my neck in a car accident 6 months before my brother died. So yeah, yoga was just incredible. And I really just went for myself, because I was like, okay, how can I be devoted to yoga, and how can I do yoga every single day? It's like, well, if you become a teacher, you're going to be teaching it. So you're going to be doing it most days of the week. So that's what kind of motivated me to do that. I really wanted to become the practice. So yeah, my business was started from grief. And I was like, I have to make this work because I can't go back to the 9 to 5 and working for somebody else. It was like, I just want to be my own boss. I want to be on my own terms. I want the freedom to do whatever I want. And yeah, it was incredible. Um, so would I have come on this path if my brother didn't pass away, or if I didn't experience that amount of grief all at once? Who knows? I really don't know, but faith and destiny, it really is out of your hands a lot of the time. But you do have choices. So I could have stayed in that job, or I could have stepped into the unknown and be like, okay, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing, but there has to be something better out there than this. So sometimes these situations, whether it's a job or a loss or a breakup or whatever, uh, force you or put you in such extreme situations that you're like, oh, I just hate this so much, or, this is causing me so much suffering. I'm just going to look in a new direction. And then boom, you begin to step on your path. And I do believe, everything happens for a reason. And again, if you said that to me, 9 years ago, that everything happens for a reason and your brother passing away was part of that, I'd be like, are you serious? Like, it's very hard to comprehend at the time. But when you take everything into perspective and everything into the bigger picture, it's like, yeah, that had a role to play in what I'm doing and where I am. Now, where this can turn into sabotage is if you are still running your business or your weight loss or your journey from that place of grief. And this is something that I identified this year and done a lot of work around it with the help of my mentor and therapy and things like that. It was like, wow, I am still in that mindset of running my business from Katie 8 years ago who lost her brother. So I was like, I really need to sit down with her now and be like, you don't need to run anymore, and you don't need to um make things happen. Like, trust that it's all unfolding as it should, and that you've built this foundation and you've built this framework that, relax a little bit. So that was really difficult because, when we are running these programs, we don't even realize what's going on because they're just happening on autopilot. It's like when you get up, brush your teeth, get dressed, have your breakfast, and go out the door. Sometimes you just don't even think about it. It just is autopilot. So when you get up and do the same thing every single day and living from the same programs and, ruminating about the same thoughts and memories and fears and worries, it just becomes innate. It becomes really familiar. So that's where we have to look and say, okay, where am I? How am I feeling? What programs are running at the moment? Who's in charge here? And oftentimes you will see that it's past versions of yourself and not the version of you that's here in the present moment, the one who has the higher perspective. So by acknowledging that, yes, things started because I was in the depths of grief and just was desperate for change and wanted to change my life for the better. And now that it has changed, it's like, okay, I can take the foot off the gas pedal and just sit back now a moment and reevaluate things and, install new programs, ones with more trust and more flow and more openness and more heart-centeredness. And not that those things weren't there before, but we have to see what the root energy is or where things are stemming from. And until I really looked at it, like I said, with the help of a mentor and therapy, I was like, oh my God, like there's no need for these things to be here. And like that they were sabotaging different aspects of my life. And I didn't even realize it till it was there pointed out to me in black and white. And I was like, oh wow. So again, initially these experiences can be really helpful to awaken something within you that was dormant. And that's what grief does. It breaks you open. It's like the rose unfolding. And when you experience loss or grief, it's like, oh my God, my heart is broken. Yeah, it's broken open so it can expand and it can feel more and it can open more and it can have a different perspective now and a deeper level of compassion. Because when I work with people, and why I wanted to go down this route as well, it's like I never want people to feel alone, and I never want people to feel like they don't have anybody. And I want to empathize with people, and I want to walk with people along their journey. And show them that there is hope and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And you know these are the things that I use to help me get out of where I was to get to the next step and the next step, because in grief, that's all you can do. You can't fast track grief. You can't do it any quicker than it needs to go itself, because it's an intelligent force and it has things to do and it has things to change, and you can't force that. So learning to be patient with the process, but in the meantime, just being fully present and observing. Because I definitely was not in the right state of mind or have enough space in my personal and professional life to do the work that I did in the first part of this year, 2024. So, it'll happen when it's ready to happen, but having the awareness that eventually it will happen and you'll have to face your past and you will have to face your fears and you'll have to slay your demons, and they're only the negative thoughts between your two ears, by the way. Um, yeah, it'll happen when it's ready. So definitely having support is a major, major thing, because grief is challenging to navigate by yourself. So even by, releasing the first podcast on navigating grief, like it was so healing for me to be able to speak and to share. And so many people didn't know like about my brother or about breaking my neck or anything like that. So it was really interesting. I was like, oh, wow, maybe I don't talk about it that much, or, maybe I was afraid, or, yeah, maybe I just didn't want to be vulnerable. But it is in the vulnerability that people get to see the real you and the authenticity and be like, oh, it's not just all a bed of roses. Um, but yes, grief is universal. Grief can be a driving force. Grief can open you in so many ways, as well as tear you apart. Um, but no matter what level or type of grief that you experience, it is the one that your soul and spirit can handle. Um, because I often say it like, if you put all of your problems out um, in the middle of the floor and so did everyone else, you'd probably gather back up your own and not somebody else's. Because this is your story, this is your life. And an interesting conversation I had with a client the other day, she um, is doing mentoring with me, and she was like, "It's all just a game, isn't it?" I was like, "Yeah, it is. It's all just a game." And you get to decide how you show up in that game every single day and what cards you're going to play and what character you're going to play, and what you're going to take with you and what you're going to leave behind. So yeah, today is the 1st of June and it's a new month. Summer is definitely here. And I'm taking this as an opportunity for renewal. And like what I just said, it's like, okay, what am I ready to take forward into this new month? Well, first of all, um, not being afraid anymore. Not being afraid of, like, yes, this is where I started, this is where I was, and this is where I currently am. And will that change in the future? Absolutely. But I think it's really important, as much as we want to move on and move forward, just take a moment to acknowledge what has passed, the last month, the last 6 months, the last year. Um, because sometimes if we don't look back, we're unconsciously carrying all of that baggage. Whereas now, when I look back, it doesn't feel as heavy anymore, since I've acknowledged it, since I have made peace with it, and, accepted it, really. So yeah, I feel a lot of lightness now going into this new month and this new season. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for all of you listening, and your continuous support, um, and curiosity. I love the questions that come through. So, yeah, the positive spin on navigating grief and how it can be a driving force in your life. So, yeah, I'm interested to hear what your opinion is, or your view or perspective on this is. So, yeah, as always, I'd be so happy to connect with you. And thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm sending you so much love, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.